2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer with the Board of Public Works. We do have a couple of callers on the line that I'm going to identify who they are first, and then I will go through a quick list of presenters for today. We do have 2 members, possibly 3 members of the general public that are joining us. We're going to go ahead and start with caller ending in 759. Caller ending in 759. Can you please unmute your microphone at this time by pressing *6? Please identify yourself and which item you'd like to speak on. Caller ending in 759. Hi, caller ending in 759. There you go. Can you please identify yourself and which item you'd like to speak on?
Okay, so I'm George. First time on Streets LA. I'm just listening in today because eventually I'm going to have to present.
Okay. Okay, George, thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute you at this time. Thank you for listening in. We're going to move down to the next caller. Caller ending in 357. Caller ending in 357. Can you please unmute your microphone by pressing *6? State your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is Patty Antich. I'm with LAWA. I'm here to listen in on the tree removal permit.
Great. Patty, since you're calling in through the landline device, item number 3 is going to be presented. I'm sorry, you're on the tree removal, correct?
Yes.
Item 4. So Hector Benuelos is presenting the item. I will let him know that you are on the line. Should he need you for anything. If you are needed for anything, *6 would unmute and will unmute and mute your microphone. And if you need to get my attention, you can press *9 to raise your hand.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Fernando.
Thank you.
Fernando,
Yes.
I'm here with LAWA too, so I'll be supporting Patty on that one.
Great, Glenda. I did send you the email invite. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
And I'm looking up because I have 2 screens. I have my iPad and then I have my monitor on the top. So that explains why I keep going up and down. Good seeing you, Glenda.
Good to see you too. And then one other item. On that item, the report has 2 different numbers, and I think the correct number of trees is 44 and not 42.
Okay. I will flag that for Mr. Benuelos as soon as I see him on the line. I see his connectivity, but I don't see his video camera audio at this time.
Yeah, I'm here, Fernando. Yes,
Okay. Did you catch that?
Yes, I'll explain that during the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Hector. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next caller. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to We have 2 more callers. Caller ending in 543. Caller ending in 543. Can you please unmute your microphone by pressing *6 at this time? please identify yourself and which item you'd like to speak on. Caller ending in 543, caller ending in 543. Can you please unmute your microphone by pressing star 6? State your name and which item you'd like to speak on. Last call for caller ending in 543, caller ending in 543. Please press star 6 at this time to unmute your microphone. State your name and which item you'd like to speak on. Hearing no response from 543, we'll move on to the last caller on the line. Last caller on the line, caller ending in 683, caller ending in 683. Can you please press star 6 at this time to unmute your microphone? State your name and which item you'd like to speak on. Caller ending in 683, caller ending in 683. At this time, can you please press star 6 to unmute your microphone? Please state your name and which item you'd like to speak on.
Hi, my name is
Hi.
Beth Diamond. Hi, Beth Diamond, Studio City Beautification Association, item number 6. I'm here to support the petition, and I'm working. I'll be here for Jerry if he needs any questions answered.
Great. Beth, if you can just keep speaking to me just for a few more minutes. I have 35 people on the line, and I just want to make sure I'm capturing your number correctly. It's 683, and I'm going to rename it on my end so that I quickly identify who you are. So, Diamond?
Yeah, D-Y-M-O-N-D.
And you're with Studio City Neighborhood Council.
No, sir. Studio City Beautification Association.
Beautification. Great. I went ahead and renamed you on our end. And Mr. Valito, if you are on the line, I see you. We have Beth on the line if you need her. She is available. Beth, did you want to speak on this item as public commentary or only if there's questions?
Only if there's questions.
Okay, great. I will let the president know that. Thank you, Beth, for joining us, and thank you for supporting us. I'm going to go ahead and mute your microphone at this time, Beth. Great. That clears up all callers from the general public that are on the line. Just a quick presenter list. Item number 2, I have Stephen Pierce. Item number 3, I have Mahmoud Haramzadeh. Mahmoud Gerald Watson is on the line too from the Bureau of Street Service. From the Bureau of Sanitation if you need him for item number 3. Item number 4, Hector Benuelos. Hector, you also have Patty and Glenda from LAWA on the line. Item number 5, I'm taking the lead on item 5. Item number 6, Mr. Jerry Valito. And then, of course, you heard Beth Diamond's on the line for you as well on item 6. Item number 7, Karina Casillas. Karina, welcome. I saw you a little earlier, so item number 7 for Karina. Item number 8, I also have Stephen Pierce for item number 8, and then Diana Overland from the Department of Transportation. Diana, are you on the line? Diane Overland?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Perfect. Item number 9, no presenter. 10, no presenter. 11, no presenter. 12, 13, no presenter. Item 14, Gerardi Nichols? I know I said it incorrectly.
Sherrod.
Sherrod.
Sherrod, yes. Sherrod. Yes, Sherrod, yes.
I apologize, Mr. Nichols, for that.
It's okay. It's all right.
Item number 15 from Sanitation, Parvati Profit. From DOE, Shirley Lau and Stephen Chen. DSS, Anna Tabuena.
Tabuena ready.
Great. BSL and BCA, nothing to report, and BPW, Rachel will cover that on item number 16, and then Rachel Malleridge, item 16, we tested your mic and your video, so we are good there. Commissioners, if you are on the line, can we test your video cams and your mic this time. I see President Good there, all ready to go. Commissioner Caloza.
Can you hear me, Fernando?
Yes.
Cool. I'm all good.
Thanks for asking for a test. I thought my video was working, but apparently it's not. I'm going to log off and log back on.
Great. And Dr. Davis, are you on the line, Dr. Davis? Do not see him. I'm going to just send him a quick ping, Mr. President, for Dr. Davis.
Hey, how come you're not asking for me? Just kidding. I'm here. That works.
Sorry, Commissioner. I did see you there, so visually I saw you. I'm like,
I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. I felt left out.
We cannot have Alva feeling left out. I see Glenda Silva. Hey.
Hi, Commissioner, how are you? Hi,
Good.
Commissioner Garcia.
Hey, Glenda. Good to see you. Like those glasses, Mr. Rocky.
Thank you.
Ditto. Ditto. Say hello to your better half, or your lesser half, excuse me.
Lesser half.
That's
Remember.
exactly. I'm not unclear about that. That is for sure.
Okay, works. I'm good.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. We're just waiting for Dr. Davis to sign in. However, Mr. President, you do have a quorum, and we can establish quorum, but we can wait at your discretion.
Let's give it another minute. Did you reach out to?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I'll call him as well.
See me? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Uh-huh.
You're welcome.
Mr. President, we do have all commissioners on the line. I also noticed that Mr. Spindler has just joined the line. Mr. Spindler, call-in user _1. Can you please indicate your name and which items you'd like to speak on?
Well, go ahead. Yes, well, general public comment and the items regarding the Lafayette Triangle, that piece of shit project that used to be our tennis courts down the street. Oh, yeah, the ones that Herb stole and the FBI's investigating. Yeah, that one.
We will put you down for the Lafayette one in public comment. Thank you at this time.
Well, there's two Lafayette matters, two stop pays.
Dr. Campos, Mr. Spindler, I believe he's referring to items 10, 11, and 12, each of which, unless I'm mistaken, relate to stop notices on that project.
Seems like Mr. Jordan's awake.
Mr. President, I can go ahead and start the recording if you... Thank you. Mr. President, you are now in record mode.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special meeting of the Los Angeles City Board of Public Works for Friday afternoon, December 11th, 2020. Good afternoon, Dr. Campos.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Roll call for today in establishing quorum. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Villegas and Caloza. President Good, you do have a quorum at this time. Currently, we do have one speaker on the line under general public comment. We have no commentary under the name of council comment section. We also have a speaker on the line for item number 10, 11, and 12 for today's special agenda item. Just for your information, we do have members from the Lawa family, the Los Angeles World Airports family on item number 4. We also have a member from the Department of Transportation on item number 8. And we also have the Studio City Beautification Association on item number 6, should your board have any questions.
All right. And you said no general public comment?
We do have one.
Okay. So let's go ahead and hear that, please. Thank you.
Great. At this time, call-in user _1, Mr. Spindler, can you please unmute your microphone at this time? You'll be given 2 minutes to speak under general public comment. Please go ahead, sir.
Well, the first thing we would note, this is Goat Puppet. Nobody submitted a speaker card with the name Mr. Spindler on it. So you're violating the Brown Act and the anonymity provisions therefore. Why does Mr. Jordan continue to ratify criminal behavior? Because he gets paid to lie. That's correct, sir. And thank you for pointing that out. Now we have people from LAWA. LAWA stands for the Los Angeles World Assholes Airports, yes. Fuck you, LAWA. You run the worst goddamn airport in the United States. Why do you charge $5 for a bottle of goddamn water? Why don't you let the taxis pick up people in front of the place to make money? You know what Paul Koretz had to do, LAWA? No, what'd he do? He had to introduce a motion to waive all of the franchise fees for the taxis through 2021 during a pandemic and a $670 million deficit. Wow. Tell them about the FBI. Yes, of course. The FBI is coming for you. And one of your former commissioners who resigned has critical information. There are 3 things that he knows. 1, you're assholes. 2, you're assholes. And 3, you're douchebags. So those 3 things combined are the predicate offenses and continued fraud as outlined by the United States versus Jose Luis Huizar. Now, why is Kevin James not here? FBI cooperation.
Thank you, Mr.
That's
Spindler.
right.
2 minutes.
Continue to rep.
Thank you.
God bless Israel.
Dr. Campos, anybody else?
No, there's no other callers on the line for general public comment.
All right. Let's go ahead to item number 1. Item number 1 is approval of the minutes from Tuesday, December 1, 2020. Do I have a second to my motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you,
please press *6 at this time. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak on item number 2.
Yes. So when you go down Hoover Street and you cross 7th Street between 7th and Wilshire, there's a pretty little triangle piece of property there. For 49 and a half years, owned by the city, there were 2 lighted tennis courts. The only 2 available lighted tennis courts within a 15-and-a-half-mile radius. Herb Wesson Jr., known as Herbie, took away those tennis courts, ripped them out of the ground, and they're installing these fucking bunkers. Black, ugly bunkers to house black, ugly, homeless, drug addict niggers in our beautiful area. Right now, me and Mr. Spindler are currently in front of the project, literally looking at it right now, and it looks like a pile of shit. Now that said, shouldn't you be paying your contractors? Why is the drain whisperer not being paid? When you pay somebody, they're happy. When you don't pay somebody for work done, they go to Jacoby and Myers. Or the FBI. Or the FBI! Why was this project approved? It was a completely opposed project. And the reason was because Herb Watson made a payoff to take that project off of Vermont Avenue and put it over in the Latino portion facing CD1. We don't want it. Put back our tennis courts, pay the gentleman his money so he can continue to whisper, fuck the project, and give us back our 2 lighted tennis courts. That's what we need, and that's what we want. But will you do it? No, you won't do it.
2 minutes.
Any
That
of
was very
the,
fast.
any of the speakers on this item, Dr. Campos?
No, there isn't.
All right. There's no presentation on this. Colleagues, do I have a motion to move this stop payment notice forward?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Any objections, Vice President Garcia or President Pro Tem Davis?
No objections.
No objections.
All right, hearing no objections, the stop payment notice is received forthwith. We can move forward. Let's go now to item number 11. This is a bond to release stop payment notice, HBG Construction Corporation. HBG Construction Corporation, InsurTech Insurance Company are transmitting a bond to release money withheld on stop payment notice filed by Ledner Roofing Company. Bond amount of $196,500 for furnishing roofing material in connection with the elongated triangle bridge housing project. I believe we have a speaker on this item, Dr. Campos.
That is correct, Mr. President. Call in user _1. Please go ahead. Please press *6 at this time. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak on item number 11.
Yes. What kind of roofs are you putting on these? They're shipping containers. What kind of roofs are you going to put on shipping containers? They already have a roof. See, that's the problem. Now, Mr. Davis doesn't give a fuck, and Mr. Bad Good doesn't give a fuck. But the reality is, nobody wanted this project in the first place. But the reason it got approved was because of all the payoff money. Now, next to it is the Chuck E. Cheese. It has now closed. So the entire building is surrounded by homeless criminals. Arson was committed on the building next to it. And none of you are doing a fucking thing to pay those insurance claims. So remember, insurance underwriters of America, whenever a claim is filed for a homeless encampment committing a fire, always subrogate the claim to the city. Attention, Mr. Jordan, because since you don't clean up homeless encampments, the insurance company is entitled to full reimbursement and attorney's fees for paying out the damages. That's what's going to happen. Now, it's not too late. In the name of Israel, we ask you to remove this project and restore the two lighted tennis courts that we have enjoyed in Lafayette Square since Mr. Spindler's great aunt came here from Canada in 1951. We would ask you to do this. So let's take a vote. Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis? No. Mr. Good? Mr. Good? No. Commissioner Jacinto? Jacinto, aye. Commissioner Kevin James? Kevin James, aye. So we have a tie. Let's return the tennis courts. Let's get these things out of here.
All right, thank you. Colleagues, do I have a motion to move forward this bond?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second? Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any objections, Vice President Garcia or Commissioner Colosi?
No objections.
Thank you very much. So this bond to release stop payment notice is received and approved forthwith. That brings us to item 13. Item 13 is another bond to release stop payment notice, HBG Construction Corporation. HBG Construction Corporation and SureTech Insurance Company are transmitting a bond to release money withheld on stop payment notice filed by Premier Steel Structures, Inc. Bond amount $2,084.60 for furnishing structural steel in connection with the Western Avenue Bridge Home Initiative project. No presentation here. I do believe we have a speaker.
That is correct, Mr. President. Item number 12, we do have one speaker on item number 12. Call-in user _1. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak on item number 12. The board is now considering this item. Please go ahead.
Yes. So again, you build shit, you have to pay for the shit that you're building. We realize that Mr. Good, a.k.a. Mr. Bad, wants to stop these projects, but can you really do it without paying the vendors? No, 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 no. So, they have to go get bonds. Why can't you just go down to City Hall, cut a check, and just slip it under the door, like it's been done for years and years and years? You can wear a mask and socially distance, but I would move that I think there's a better way to handle this. It could save the city a lot of money. What's that? Would these vendors be willing to be paid in casino chips? Now, Mr. Weezer still has a lot of casino chips left over, and fortunately the FBI didn't get them. They're sitting around City Hall if you can find them. Wow, a treasure hunt. That's right. Let's play the game, Find the Missing Chips. So you can pay in these chips. Then the developers can go and cash them in later. That's the way we should be doing it. Pay them in casino chips. 80 cents on the dollar. Then that way, think of all the accounting that they save. Think of all of the paperwork that's saved. You could be paying in casino chips. This is what Mr. Weezer was trying to do, and you and the FBI stopped it. He was trying to save the city money. God bless Jose Weezer and his accomplices. Yes, it was illegal, but you have to admit now, with $670 million in the hole, he could have saved us a lot of money. But you go,
2 minutes.
and I know you're all right. Find the casino chips.
Thank you very much.
Find the casino.
Thank you. Colleagues, do I have a motion to move this bond to the stop payment forward? Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Do I have a second? Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Any objections, Vice President Garcia or Commissioner Villegas?
No objections, thank you.
No objections either.
All right, hearing no objections, the item is received forthwith and
afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. Executive Officer. Jerry Valido, Assistant Director of the Office of Community Beautification. Today I am presenting an Adopt a Median project that has been proposed by the Studio City Beautification Association. This group, if you recall, had a project adopted by this board just last month, and today they hope to continue with their efforts to beautify parts of CD2. The City of LA, via the Office of Community Beautification, has collaborated with the Studio City Beautification Association for almost a year and a half to bring this particular project to fruition. The project involves the installation of landscaping improvements to two separate traffic medians on Vineland Avenue in Studio City. The medians are located at 4060 and a half and 4242 and a half Vineland Avenue, and both will have the existing plant material removed and new soil and mulch installed for the planting beds. There will also be 5-gallon and 1-gallon plants installed per plans that have been approved by the Bureau of Street Services. This project is supported by Council District 2, and the installation will be done by contractor Wild Flora, whose insurance information has already been submitted to the city. Wild Flora will also be retained by the Studio City Beautification Association to maintain both project locations. And as mentioned earlier, we do have Beth Diamond from the Studio City Beautification Association, who I've been working with for a good year, 2 years now on this project. And if you have any questions regarding the project, you can direct those to her. At this time, I'd like to request that the board adopt this project so that we may proceed with the permit application process.
Thank you, Jerry. Ms. Diamond, would you like to, is Ms. Diamond here?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Ms. Diamond, anything you would like to add? I suspect you've worked hard on this.
It's been a big, it's been a challenge. And yes, we would love to have this approved if you could, please.
All right, well, thank you very much. We appreciate the work and the engagement for sure. Colleagues, questions or comments? I'll start with you, Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I do not have any questions. I actually just have comments. I'm glad that this is coming to fruition. It's really going to enhance that part of the area of the city. You know, having two medians taken care of is really important, especially during this time. So thank you to the Studio City Beautification team for working on this. And Jerry from OCB also for always working on this. So thank you to everybody involved.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis?
No questions for me on this item.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Closa?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you to Studio City Beautification Association for working on this. And I just had a quick question for Mr. Valido. I know we had mentioned this in the past, but just wanted to double check for this one. But we coordinated this one ahead of time with BOE, right? Mostly checking since this is directing us to authorize the city engineer to do something that OCB is approving. So I just wanted to check that coordination happened ahead of time.
Actually, Commissioner Colosa, this particular project did not need any review by the Bureau of Engineering. This was strictly a landscaping project, and the Bureau of Street Services, or Streets LA, did the review and issued the approval. The only area of involvement that BOE has is actually the permitting. That's it. So when I applied for the permits on behalf of the applicant, they issued the permit, and that's about it.
Okay, got it. Thank you for clarifying that with roles between Streets LA and BOE. That was the only question I had, but I'm glad this is moving forward. Congratulations, and no further questions from me.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Valido, for bringing this forward to us. I'm glad that we're going to have just additional, shade and a little bit of landscaping in this area. I'm familiar with this part of town, and I know it's just densely populated. So anything to help alleviate all that, cars and denseness, and put a little bit of of shrubbery and a little bit of goodness in there is going to be really, really helpful. So congratulations. And I'm so glad that we have a good partner as well. And I saw Paul Krikorian's, Councilmember Paul Krikorian's letter of support. So great job.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Question, Jerry, what was, and maybe Ms. Diamond can answer this, or should answer this as well. Just out of curiosity, continuum of when this project started to now.
When are you asking me, sir, when the project was originally submitted to us?
Yeah, or actually, maybe Ms. Diamond can say even prior even to that, like the planning for this. And this is not any sort of particular oversight question as much as curiosity. I think it's illustrative to understand the level, the complexity and the sort of persistence that projects like this are reflective of.
I'd be happy to answer that. It takes an awful lot of persistence to get the planting right and to get the project approved. Like Jerry said, we've been working on this for, has it been 2 years, Jerry?
Yeah.
Make everything correct so that we can start work on it. One of the problems that we do find when we get into these projects is normally there is more street underneath the more blacktop that we have to remove, usually about 3 levels of blacktop before we can even start planting. So that's a big challenge for us going into the future on each of these projects. But we do get money available the funding is available for these extras. And going back, we just keep plugging away to make sure that it's all right with the city.
That's great. Thank you very much, Ms. Diamond. I personally marvel at it's one thing to say we want X or we want Y in our community. It's another to actually jump on the train, if you will, and really persist through that journey and all the different steps necessary to go, frankly, in a professional.
Yeah, we've been doing this since about 1989. We have 11 existing projects right now, and 6 more that we have already completed, but they were taken over by the bid for maintenance. So we are persistent in making it beautiful. Thank you.
That's fabulous. Thank you very much. Thank you for all you're doing and the organization's doing for the city. All right, do I have a motion to move this forward?
Can I ask just a quick question? I should have asked this sooner. It didn't come to me until Jerry was talking a little bit about the project. Is there any, I'm just wondering, will the design include any kind of bioswales or anything like that? Just because this is a big, street, and we have LA River that's not that far from it. Is there any like BMPs or anything like that for water quality? Or is it just landscaping?
It's just landscaping. Yeah, it's a fairly typically landscaping projects that come through the Adopt a Median program are not that complex in nature.
Okay.
And a lot of times especially with these traffic median beautification projects, they just want to clean up medians that have a lot of stuff on them that shouldn't be there. Yeah. So it's a lot of beautification, landscaping, decomposed granite, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate it. No more questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. All right, do I have a motion to move this forward?
I'll move.
Oh, yeah. I'll second.
All right, I got a motion from Commissioner Villegas, a second from Vice President Garcia. Actually, hold on that. I'm going to keep your motion, but Dr. Campos, you said we may have a speaker on this item.
Yes, we do have one caller that raised their hand as you were reading the item. Mr. Spindler, call-in user _1. Mr. Spindler, the board is now considering item number 6. Would you like to speak on this item?
Yes, of course.
Go ahead.
Anything involving the great Paul Martin Krikorian, who's had his bar license suspended, of course we want to talk about that. So as we go through Studio City, we see remarkable efforts on the part of Paul Martin Krikorian to clean up the homeless garbage and get those niggers off the streets to make it look pretty again for business. In that sense, Paul Martin Krikorian does a very good job. What do you think?
You know, I got to give my hat off to him, yeah.
So yes, median projects are a dog whistle for getting rid of the homeless. So let's just be honest. When we mention garbage, we mean homeless. When we mention trash, we're talking about homeless. So these are anti-encamping measures, much, much more than landscaping projects. But of course, the fight will continue. More of the homeless will be evicted out of their apartments and put out into the streets. Soon they will be living all around City Hall, around Mr. Davis, around Mr. Good, a.k.a. Bad. So we're going to get a lot more fucking homeless because nobody can pay their rent. So I would move that every median in the San Fernando Valley be given the same type of planter. Let's get these fuckers off the streets. And let's beautify Studio City, Tarzana, Encino, Sherman Oaks, Woodland Hills, West Hills, and of course, the beleaguered North Hills. Do I have a second?
No, I don't have a second.
All right, and finally, as my last puppet comment of the year, have a good Hanukkah.
2 minutes.
Fuck
Mr. Speaker.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I have a motion from Commissioner Villegas. Does that motion still stand?
Yes.
Thank you. And a second from Vice President Garcia.
Yes.
Any objections or concerns, President Pro Tem Davis or Commissioner Close?
None for me.
None.
All right. Hearing no objections, the item is approved forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Diamond. Thank you, Mr. Valido. Thank you all for being here and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you all very much. Good luck with the project. Okay, our next item is item number 7. Item number 7 is a contract amendment, Koreatown Youth and Community Center Median Island Maintenance, recommending the board, 1, authorize the Office of Community Beautification, subject to transfer and appropriation, to execute a contract amendment with Koreatown Youth and Community Center in the amount of $6,000 for community beautification services in Council District 4, and 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the contract amendment after approval as to form has been obtained by the city attorney. Karina Casillas is with us today. Good afternoon, Ms. Casillas.
Thank you, and good afternoon, President Good, Commissioners, and members of the board. Karina Casillas here, Management Analyst with the Office of Community Beautification. The office of OCB contracts with various nonprofit, community-based organizations to provide graffiti abatement and additional public right-of-way beautification services. This afternoon, as we are requesting, that the board authorize the Office of Community Beautification to execute a contract amendment with the Koreatown Youth and Community Center in the amount of $6,000. The transfer of funds was approved by the LA City Council on August 25th, 2020, and by the mayor on September 4th, 2020. The funds are to be used for enhanced community beautification services in Council District 4. This will consist of maintaining various median islands in Larchmont Village community, which shall include weed abatement, litter cleanup, brush trimming, pruning of various plants, and other as-needed duties. KYCC shall dedicate a 2-person staff to this project once per week for 2 hours. Thank you for your attention to this item. I'm available to answer any questions the board may have at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Casillas. Vice President Garcia, any questions or comments?
Thank you, President Good. And thank you, Karina, for presenting. You did a good job. I think you presented once before. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
Good job on your second time. I don't have any specific questions. I'm just excited to see so many beautification projects coming on board and people taking, the time to do that at this time. So this is good. I'm happy to see that. That's all for me.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
No questions for me. Final report.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. And thank you to our presenter, Karina. He did a good job. I echo that sentiment as well. Just a quick question. How was this site selected? And I see that it's Larchmont Village, an area that's very affluent already, and yet they're going to partner with, KYCC to be able to do these medians. I'm just wondering, out of curiosity, is this something that the council member brought forth, or how did this originate? Just for transparency, so the public can know.
Yes, Commissioner. So I believe this was initiated by Council District 4. Each council district does have availability of funds that they can dedicate towards community beautification. And I believe in this case, Council District 4 specifically requested the group of Koreatown Youth and Community Center to assist with this work.
Okay, I see it's Council District for Redevelopment Project Services. I guess that's the fund that is allocated for this service. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I appreciate it. I don't have any other comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Any questions or comments, Commissioner Closa?
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions on this. Nice to see Ms. Casillas. I don't think we've seen you in about 9 months now because of COVID. So it's nice to see people's faces on the screen. I have no questions.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Closa. I don't really have any questions either. Thank you. Excellent work on the presentation also. And I will motion to move this forward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, yeah.
Commissioner Closa. Any objections or concerns? Vice President Garcia?
No objections or concerns. Thank you.
Commissioner Villegas?
None for me either. Thank you.
President Pro Tem Davis?
None for me either.
All right. Hearing no objections, the item is approved and move forward forthwith. Thank you very much, Ms. Casillas. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. That brings us now to item number 8. Item number 8 is in CDs 8 and 10. This is a contract award, CEM Construction Corporation, Western Avenue Bus Stop and Pedestrian Improvement Project, federal project number CML-5006, parenthetical 733, and parenthetical. Recommending the board, 1, find transmittal number 1 to be unmerited as discussed in this report. 2, declare CEM Construction Corporation, CEM, first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award CEM a contract for the Western Avenue Bus Stop and Pedestrian Improvement Project for $887,510. And 3, authorize the president or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. As a note, folks, this is a federally granted project. So if you choose to move this forward, colleagues, this is not subject to the mayor's cost containment process. We have received waiver thereof. Mr. Fierce is back with us to present on this item. Diane Overland from DOT is with us as well. Ms. Overland, Mr. Fierce, whoever is giving us the presentation, please go forward.
Mr. President, we do have a caller on the line for item number 8. Would you like to take that caller now or after the presentation?
Oh, let's go right ahead.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Fierce, for just a quick 2 minutes. Caller, Mr. Spindler, call in user _1. The board is now considering item number 8. You have 2 minutes left under your 10-minute aggregate total. Please go ahead. 2 minutes.
Yes. So I again, this is something Goat Puppet has been trying to get you guys to do. Your job is to steal federal and state funds. And finally, and thank to Commissioner Garcia for coming up with the idea of being able to grab 800 grand. Now, if you can grab $800,000 for this, I'm sure you can grab hundreds of millions of dollars more money. Imagine sitting there every Tuesday and Friday with hundreds of millions of dollars to give away. Wouldn't that be fun? Imagine Goat Puppet helping you get all of that money into the community. And all of us, including Goat Puppet and Mr. Spindler, and even Joel Jacinto, could set up nonprofits. And then you could give us the money. And then we could go out into the community and hire homeless people to do the work. What a great thing it would be. But you're not going to do that, are you? No. You're going to instead hire your treasured partners that are campaign donors. That's right. So the money will never go into the pockets of the poor, the beleaguered, the Jewish, the non-Goya. It'll only go into the pockets of the same crooks and thieves that turned in Mr. Jacinto, that turned in Mr. Chan, Mr. Goldman, Mr. Weezer, and our illustrious Mitchell Englander. As they continue to charge 900% more for the same work we can get on the streets. So, the idea is good, you're getting better, but with a good, we can only get bad. We need to bring back Kevin James for at least the next 6 months as we weather more indictments and scandals. So, $800,000 for
2 minutes, Mr. Spindler. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes,
And Mr. President, that was the 10 minutes under the 10-minute aggregate rule for Mr. Spindler.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Pierce and Ms. Overland, please.
Yes, hi. This is Steve Fierce, Principal Architect, Bureau of Engineering, and I have with me Diane Overland, Department of Transportation. The background on this project is that this is, as was noted, it's federally funded. It will improve 13 bus locations and street trees along Western Avenue from Exposition Boulevard to Adams Boulevard. And the project includes security lighting, trash receptacles, bus benches at the 13 bus stops, sidewalk repairs and curb ramps, and an additional street trees of approximately 35. There is no street improvement work. The project has been reviewed for environmental considerations, and it was determined to be categorically exempt. The bid review, the lowest of 2 bids were received, and compared with the city's engineer estimate of $781,580. The low bid was $887,510. Based on the range of bids submitted for this project, staff believes this bid to be reasonable. The project is subject to the DBE program and it is federally funded. The project was advertised with DBE goal of 7%, and the contractor pledged a DBE commitment of 100% and OBE participation level of 0%. Con Ed has confirmed that the required documentation was provided to show that the DBE requirement was met. The SEM construction is a first-time bidder with the City of Los Angeles, and they have no record. We have no record of previous contracts awarded by the board within the last 5 years. There's no labor compliance problems were found with various state agencies. The Inspector of Public Works has conducted a first-time bidder investigation and did not find any evidence of violations of statutes, regulations, ordinances, or wrongdoing by the contractor. Due to the first-time bidder status, there is no record of DBE or OBE participation levels with the city for the past 5 years. There was a bid bond extension. SEM was requested to extend their bid bond, which expires on December 4th, 2020, and the contractor agreed to extend their bid bond until January 8th, 2021.
The staff recommends that the board declare SEM first and low responsible bidder and awards SEM the contract for this project. Status of funding. The funding for this project comes from the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality CMAQ. There's no impact to the general fund. Construction funding is front funded through the Transportation Grant Fund. Caltrans will reimburse the project's eligible construction expenditures with the federal CMAQ grant funds. The Los Angeles Department of Transportation has identified and verified the following funding source. Let's see. And with that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions, myself or Diane is on the call.
Thank you, Mr. Fierce. Do I have any comments or questions? We'll start with President Pro Tem Davis.
No questions for me, Mr. President, on this particular item.
All right. Thank you. Vice President Garcia?
I just have one question for clarification. Stephen, I see that in the bus stops there will be some street lighting aspect to this. Is that BSL included, or is that going to be done by BOE?
I actually would defer that question to Diana.
It's going to be done by street lighting, and there are 13 bus stop pedestrian lighting locations that are a part of this project. Some of the locations will also have bus benches and trash bins installed at those locations.
Okay. But the lead on this specific project is BOE,
Street
right?
lighting.
The lead is street lighting.
No, I'm sorry. It's part
the
of
lead for this project is BOE, right?
Correct.
Okay, just clarifying. Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear that this street is going to get some love and care in the bus stops areas.
Agreed. All right, thank you. Let's see, Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I was just writing my notes. I appreciate it. Thanks for bringing this item forward, Mr. Fierce and Ms. Overland. I appreciate the report. I just had, and I'm glad that this project is also happening. I see that it's in Council Districts 8 and 10, so the new council member, Ridley Thomas, will benefit from it, or his constituency will benefit from it. I'm curious just to learn how this area was selected, Western.
You know what? I have to get back to you on that. It's part of the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality Improvement Program grant that was applied for way back in originally 2012. So we've been working on this project for quite some time. We've been going through the design work. So unfortunately, I don't have that information about how it originally was placed onto the project listing.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, just let me know if you find anything that
sure
provides just some guidance in terms of, was there a motion, or was it originated from both districts? Just curious to learn how these decisions are made. And then my second question was just a coordination effort between BOE and Streets LA. Considering that we just, issued the RFP for street furniture not that long ago, and seeing that this is going to impact Western and 13 stops, it's a long way. Excuse me. So just wanted to see if how much of a coordination and a communication you have with another bureau that's doing just this kind of work.
I think it's well, I guess our team's been doing the drawings, and so I know we're working closely with them. So, but on that one, I don't have a lot. I'm not sure I have a lot of history on that. Exactly how to explain how it's been.
Just like information sharing. I don't. My apologies that I'm going to put you on the spot. Just if there's some information sharing, and it's just, it's a significant RFP that Streets LA has put out. So just wanting to see, on that effort, I realize that what we're approving today is a grant, to be able to get all this work, started, with a contractor. But, seeing that I'm the liaison for Streets LA, I just see all this, different information passing by me. So I just wanted to make sure that we're connecting the dots. That's all.
Okay. I can look into that and get a better response for you on that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
And I don't have anything else. So I'm so sorry. I just left like a hanging chad there. Sorry.
No problem at all. Commissioner Closa.
I don't have any questions. I'm just glad to see that there was the 100% DBE goal. So that's significant for a federally funded project. So that just wanted to put an exclamation point on that piece. But for Mr. Fierce, I do agree with Commissioner Villegas' comment. I think it would be good to just flag this project for Streets LA. We can help you get a contact. If it hasn't been done already, it might be already by someone on your team. But just let us know, and we can connect you to the right people. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Yeah, I would just agree. I mean, this is great on so many levels. Western Avenue needs love, and this is going to be terrific and meaningful infrastructure for CD8 and CD10. It's fantastic that this is 100% DBE executed and implemented. We have a new contractor, super exciting. All the above, just important that we're each hand is talking to the other, and so let's make sure that y'all check in with Streets LA. But I think this is really exciting. I enjoyed reading this report because it's exciting that this is happening. So I'll motion to move this item forward. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Any objections or concerns, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, or Commissioner Villegas?
None for me.
None for me either. Thank you.
Vice President Garcia?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
No objections.
Okay. Hearing no objections, the item is approved and adopted forthwith. Thank you, Mr. Fierce. Thank you, Ms. Oakland.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 9 is an administrative item. The mayor and the city council have approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the proposed amendment number 1 to the contract with Electronic Recyclers International, Inc. for electronic waste disposal services. This is strictly administrative, no presentation. Do I have a motion to move this item forward?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Any questions or comments or concerns, President Pro Tem Davis or Commissioner Closa?
None.
None for me.
All right. Hearing no concerns or objections, the item is approved forthwith. And that brings us, ladies and gentlemen, I believe, Mr. Campos will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that brings us to item number 14, which is a status update on major upcoming street improvement projects from the Bureau of Street Services. Gerard Nichols is with us this afternoon, I believe. Mr. Nichols, how are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
Great.
No. Unfortunately not.
You have a great voice anyway. All right, Mr. Nichols, go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, President Good, Commissioners, and Dr. Campos. My name is Gerard Nichols, Superintendent with the Street Renewal Division of Streets LA. This information is being provided to keep the public informed on upcoming resurfacing projects and to minimize the impact on the community as well as delays to the commuters. We have an update for the Metro and Valley region for the week of December 13th through December 18th, 2020. The Metro region will complete 13 projects for a total of 8.18 lane miles. The Valley region, Tuesday, December 15th through Friday, December 18th, from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m., will cold mill and resurface Vineland Avenue, Strathern Street to Keswick Street and CD6, Sunland Valley Area Neighborhood Council Fund PPP. Tuesday, December 15th, and Wednesday, December 16th, from 6:30 a.m. to 3 p.m., we will cold mill and resurface Laurel Canyon Boulevard, Golden State Freeway, Sheldon Street to Wick Street, and CD6. Sun Valley Area Neighborhood Council Fund PPP. During the week of December 13th through December 19th, the Valley region will complete 5 projects for a total of 6.36 lane miles. The press releases were broadcast and notifications have been issued. Streets LA has coordinated with the council district offices to assist with outreach to stakeholders, and we have coordinated with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
You're welcome.
Any questions, colleagues? Vice President Garcia?
No questions. Good job on your report. Thank you for being here. And I'm happy to see you in a suit. You know, we're missing that. So good.
Right?
And yes, very nice. Keep it. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Okay. President Pro Tem Davis.
No questions for me on that item.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Villegas.
No questions for me either. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Closer.
No questions for me, President Good, and agree with Vice President Garcia's comment. I will say Streets LA always dresses up. Even though we hear from them only for a few minutes at the end, they always look incredibly sharp in their presentation. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Closer. And agreed, you look sharp as a tack, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your report. We appreciate it, and you have a great weekend, okay?
All right, thank you. You also.
Dr. Campos, I thought we hit item number 13, did we not?
We did not, Mr. President. Item 13 is still on the docket.
Okay, but we got 10, 11,
10, 11, and 12, yes.
Okay.
I believe you may have read 13, but it was item 12, and it was item 12.
Oops. Okay. Sorry. What kind of cleanup do I need to do? We'll just do item all.
No cleanup on item 12 is necessary. I believe that I indicated that when we took the public comments that it was item 12 that the board was considering, so we are good on item 12. The only item left on the table is 13.
Okay, so forgive Brad Flintstone, ladies and gentlemen. Item number 13, colleagues. This is a bond to release stop payment notice, HBG Construction Corporation. HBG Construction Corporation and SureTech Insurance Company are transmitting a bond to release money withheld on stop payment notice filed by Premier Steel Structures, Inc. Bond amount of $2,084.66 for furnishing structural steel in connection with the Western Avenue Bridge Home Initiative project. No presentation on this. Do I have a motion to move this forward, colleagues?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. I got a motion from Commissioner Closa, second from Commissioner Villegas. Any objections, President Pro Tem Davis or Vice President Garcia?
No objections for me.
No objection.
All right. Thank you all very much. Hearing no objections, this item is received forthwith and move forward. Thank you all. All right. That brings us to item 15. This is a status of grant-funded programs and projects, all bureaus. We have an all-star list of guests with us this this afternoon. And why don't we go ahead and start with LA Sanitation and Ms. Profit with her lovely, is that your house?
Yes, it is.
Nice, with the Christmas lights. Goodness gracious. My daughter would want to move in with you rather than us. So,
Trying to keep cheerful in these times.
yes, COVID holidays. You're helping us stay cheerful. Beautiful picture. All right, Ms. Profit, why don't you tell us about LA Sanitation Grant Fund programs?
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Parv Profit from LA Sanitation and Environment. As requested by the board, LA San has prepared a comprehensive grants report for the period covering June 1st through November 30th of 2020. The report includes attachments A through F and should have been distributed for your reference. Currently, LA San manages the grant portfolio in the amount of $36.8 million, representing 33 executed grant agreements as shown in Attachment 1, the semi-annual active grant summary. The details of our active grants are in Attachment B. This total amount, this $36.8 million, represents one grant totaling $3.5 million for our clean water programs, 5 grants totaling $3.4 million for our environmental programs, which are listed as other on the summary, 18 grants totaling $13.5 million for our solid resources programs, and 9 grants totaling $16.4 million for our watershed protection programs, which does include some Propo projects. In Attachment C, you would see that LA San was awarded 4 grants for a total of $3.1 million during this reporting period. This includes awards for an assortment of environmental projects, such as a US EPA grant for a brownfields cleanup project. We have some state grants for tree planting and beverage and container recycling projects, as well as an internal LA Innovation and Performance Commission award for an ozone disinfectant study. We were denied 3 grants during this reporting period, totaling $1.4 million, as shown in Attachment D. That includes an application to the State Coastal Conservancy for a stormwater project, an application to the U.S. Department of Agriculture for a community composting project, and an application to the U.S. EPA for an anaerobic digestion project at our Terminal Island facility. So we're currently awaiting funding decisions for 10 other grant applications totaling $33.6 million. Those are all shown in Attachment E. And there are 2 loan applications pending in the amount of $636.5 million, as shown in Attachment F. These 2 loan applications are for the Donald C. Tillman Advanced Water Purification Facility project, which includes design and construction of a 35 MGD water reclamation plant. And its related components, and that project is geared towards replenishing groundwater basins and generating more purified water for all of Los Angeles. So that covers our active and pending projects and what we were awarded this period. Includes my summary. If you have any questions, I'm here available.
Thank you, Ms. Profit. Any questions, colleagues?
None for me.
Vice President Garcia?
I do. Ms. Prophet, you said that there were some that we did not receive. Will that cause like a dent in our services? Or
No.
was this new money that we were looking for?
This was new money we're trying to get so that we can do more projects for the community.
Understood.
Okay. Facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioners Colosa or Commissioner Villegas?
We're being polite. Who's going to talk first? I'll go ahead. I don't have any questions right now. It's been, I know, over a year or exactly a year, I think from what my conversation with Ms. Lau, that we had heard updates on federal grants. So it's nice to just hear an update on all of this. I don't have any questions for you, Ms. Profit. I think you did a great job, and I appreciate the format of your report. It's really easy to read.
Great, thank you.
Through your projects. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. I appreciate also your report and just your attachments. Just a quick question on the Terminal Island grant that was was denied or not approved for the anaerobic digester. Will you all be trying again? I'm just concerned because, I mean, as you guys very well know, we just have, deadlines to be met through states, or what is it, the food waste? And so I didn't know if you guys were planning on applying for that in the future again.
We have been looking aggressively at grant opportunities to support our food waste goals. So it may not be specifically for this project, although we are keeping our eyes open for other grant opportunities for this project and other food waste projects to try to contribute to that. That has probably been one of our more aggressive areas of applications this year.
It's not part of this effort. I understand because you're just giving a report out, but I'm just going to plant the seed here. This next legislative cycle will consider a climate, like a climate change bond to the extent that our legislative advocates can, identify funding and tack it onto that bond for this effort for food waste or anaerobic digesters. I would seek that out.
Okay.
Just making a plug.
We will look into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
No further questions. Thank you. Really good report. I really appreciate it.
Ditto. Thank you, Ms. Prophet. Excellent report. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Happy holidays and have a good weekend, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Next up, on the All-Star Tour, Shirley Lau and Steve Chen from the Bureau of Engineering.
Good afternoon. Let me see if I could share my screen. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, good afternoon. Shirley Lau with the Bureau of Engineering, Bridge Improvement Division, to provide you with the status of grants for the city's bridge program. As Commissioner Caloza mentioned earlier, it has been exactly 1 year since I presented the status. And first off, I'd like to go over types of grants that we typically utilize for our city's bridge projects. The predominant funding source that we use on our bridge projects is from the Federal Highway Bridge Program. And it is a federal highway, the funds are from federal highways but administered by Caltrans. Typical reimbursement ratio is 80% to 88.53%. The annual allotment for the whole state is $300 million, which is not a whole lot, and I'll get into a little bit of that later. Another grant that we typically use is from the state Proposition 1B, and that one is from Caltrans. And we sometimes use that as a local match to match the Highway Bridge Program. And the main criteria is that you have to have seismic retrofit as part of your work. The next 4 types of grants, Prop C25, Active Transportation, SR 710, and Measure M. These 4 grants, we've been using them for pedestrian bridges, also funding gaps in our other bridge projects, as well as corridor improvements, mainly street widening or other improvements that we need to make as along the approachways to the bridges. And so these are critical in funding portions of the corridor that the Highway Bridge Program does not typically fund. And so we really are appreciative of receiving those grants as well. So back to the Federal Highway Bridge Program, Caltrans has given basically a statement saying that their program is very much oversubscribed. There is a great need for funding throughout the state on bridge projects. They would like, I guess, local agencies to plead to the federal government in that they're everywhere. Bridges are, I guess, in need of upgrade and improvement, and that the $300 million annual allotment is simply not enough for the state. And they have not mentioned that there's any impacts on COVID due to COVID. And the projects I'll be going over, later on in my presentation, we do have the funds for those programs, so it does not impact those projects for now. Quickly here, I just have a summary of the 5 projects we have in design at this time. They total roughly $138 million, with $116 million allocated by the feds and the state or LA County, and with the $21.4 million of local match. Here is my first summary page of construction projects. Since I came to the board a year ago, we have completed Glendale Hyperion Complex of Bridges Phase 1, which is also known as the Red Car Pedestrian Bridge. And so I've noted that here that it's 100% complete. And we've also finished North Atwater Bridge, which is 100% complete. This is the second page of my construction projects. We've also finished the Riverside Drive Bridge over Zoo Drive, and that is at 100% complete as well. And so the construction projects total $117 million, with about $90 million from the federal, state, and other funding sources. I just want to show a few photos of our completed projects here, and one of a project in construction right now. So this is the Red Car Pedestrian Bridge. We completed it in January 2020 when we were still allowed to get together, and we were very happy with the progress. We were able to complete this project within a year. And so it is currently being used, and I'm not able to show the nighttime video, but we do have a nighttime look of the bridge, and it's very pretty with the lights. Here's the North Atwater Bridge, which is, I know I've been to the board many times on this project. The picture to the left is the LAPD mounted unit testing the bridge, which is the equestrian side of the bridge, and we also have the pedestrian and bicycle side of the bridge, and it is segregated in the middle. And this was completed in May 2020. Here we have the Soto Street Bridge over Valley Boulevard. About over a month ago, we had the girder installation for the widened bridge portion, and so we had to do that overnight because it was over the UP Railroad. Coordination with UP took many months, and so we were happy that everything went well. We closed down that section of the street for 2 nights in a row to complete that work. And lastly, I just wanted to share a photo of the Taylor Yard Bicycle Pedestrian Bridge. The superstructure is up, the entire thing, over the LA River. We were able to move out of the LA River before the deadline of November 15th. We're not allowed to work in the LA River after that date. And so we're now working on the approachways and the bike ramps, and we hope to finish the project in the summer of 2021. And so that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I'll also stop sharing.
Thank you, Ms. Lau. I'll repeat myself. Thank you for the very thorough presentation. Questions, colleagues? President Pro Tem Davis.
None for me. I think it's a great report. Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Vice President Garcia?
No questions from me either. Shirley, you did a great job on reporting. I like how you connected the projects with the funding source. That was perfect. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, it's really helpful. Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Villegas?
I don't have any questions either. Thank you, Shirley, for your report. It's good to see all kinds of LA River projects, though, getting completed. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. And Commissioner Closa.
I don't have any questions for Ms. Lau. I'll just take a quick moment to embarrass her a little bit and say that her projects are sometimes can be the most controversial, and that people really care about our bridge program. Oftentimes it provides access from one neighborhood to another. in new ways that hasn't been done before. And so she has to do tons of outreach and navigating and troubleshooting different issues to make sure she has a balance of what the city wants, the board, the city council, and of course the community. So I just want to thank her and her entire team for always doing a really great job on the bridge program. And I always like to embarrass her just a little bit. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Thank you.
Are you embarrassed, Ms. Vanna?
Yes, I am.
Good. Mission accomplished, commission closer. Yes, I'll embarrass you too. Excellent report. Thank you so much. And yeah, is there ever a bridge that's not controversial?
I don't think so. Thank you, President Good.
Thank you very much, Shirley. Thank you, Steve. All right, next up, in our last grant report is Streets LA.
Commissioner, excuse me, I had the street report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
All right, now I'm embarrassed. So, Mr. Chen, why don't you go ahead and give us the street report from the ocean?
Yes, I will. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen here.
Steve, I apologize.
Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Very good. So I tried to follow the same format as Shirley for the most part, but basically this is a staff report on the street program. Similar to Shirley's, we have a lot of different grant funding sources. So I'll start here first. Okay. So here's a summary of the different types of funding sources that we use. I can maybe highlight a few of them. I think Shirley had one of these as well, the ATP Active Transportation Program. This is funded from state and federal funds, and these grants are offered every 2 years, and we apply for them, and each cycle is 4 years. So basically, when you apply for the grant, you have 4 years once you accept the grant to actually design and construct and complete the project. And they typically are, active transportation, which basically is like funding for biking and pedestrians, transit, and increased safety for pedestrians and bicyclists. And the other one I'd like to highlight here is the number 3, the Affordable Housing Sustainable Communities Grant. And this is really initiated from State Department of Housing and Community Development. It's a state grant. The purpose of that is to try to reduce the greenhouse gases and increase affordable housing. But the other main piece of it is also to encourage active transportation as well and to use transit. So the idea is to provide grants for housing and adjacent transportation infrastructure to support the housing. And so approximately half of the grant money is for the housing piece, and the other half is for transportation infrastructure, which is where we have our projects. And this grant is offered every year, so working on multiple grants overlapping at the same, over multiple years. And so because it's offered so frequently. And we work closely with HCID, our housing department, in proposing these grants, as well as working with LADOT in creating our applications to apply for these grants. And then I'll highlight a couple more here. Number 9 is the CRA. This is from the former Community Redevelopment Agency, which is now defunct, but there's some excess bond funding that was provided for the CRA that we now actually have to complete the work for this funding. And so we have a few projects that is using this type of funding. Lastly, Measure R and Prop C, I think these are just local sales tax generated revenue that is funded through Metro, our grantor, to deliver transportation projects. And next, as you can see, the different columns show you the granting agency and the type and the percentage of reimbursement as it varies from the type of grant. And just a summary of all our projects. I wasn't able to list each project individually, but just a summary here. As you can see, we have a total of 125 projects, total grant amount about $45 million. And, oops, it's not working. Sorry, did that? Yeah, sorry. Did you see the next page? I think my screen wasn't working. but yeah, this is the summary of the grants. Yeah, 125 projects, $445 million in total grant, and $338 million in total construction value. So the grant amount is more than the construction value because it also funds our design and project management efforts. So I have a couple examples of what we accomplished for photos from this year. This is just an example of one of the improvements we had on 2nd Alameda. This is part of a active transportation project. It actually was two projects combined into one. We had improvements along Sheridan Elementary School and Reed Elementary School, as well as Little Tokyo. And this actual location is 2nd and Alameda, which is in Little Tokyo. As you can see, we improved the pedestrian safety by widening the sidewalk and reducing the crossing lane or crossing distance. It's kind of hard to tell in this picture, but that's what this did in this example. More of the project information is listed here, and it was ATP grant funded. We just finished this project right now. We also added new street lighting, striping, sidewalk curbs, and curb extensions. And this is just one example of the improvements that occurred on this project. And another example here. This is what I mentioned with the CRA excess bond funding. This was a project out in the valley, CD3. And here's an example of an improvement that we did. As you can see, the before and after, where we created a mini roundabout to provide for safer access for bicyclists primarily, and then pedestrians. Again, we also added other amenities like street lights, trees, and landscaping, and other street furniture. And so those are a couple of examples that we have from this past year. And I think that's about it for now. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any questions, colleagues? Vice President Garcia?
Stephen, thank you for your report again. Thank you for showing, comprehensive here. Do you have them separated by, and correct me if I'm wrong, you probably did say this, by federal and then state grants, or do you just have them all listed in one?
Let's see, I can.
Yeah, right here.
They're mostly, yeah, I guess I can go through them, but they're a combination of state and federal. I mean, ATP is a combination of federal and state. CDBG is federal, I believe. Yeah, and then AHS, yeah, I mean, they're all different sources. I didn't really listen that way, but HSC is state. The FHWAs are federal grants. 4, 5, and 6. Safe to Do is federal. HSIP is also federal. And then the rest mostly are local or state funded.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And just last question. On this same page, you have a 65% reimbursement.
Right.
What does that mean?
That means we have to provide local or match funding. So for 35% of the funding is coming from city funds, and the rest is the 65% is grant reimbursement. Yeah.
Okay, and it almost seems like all of them except for 2 and 3 have that kind of requirement, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your report. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Coloso?
I don't have any questions for Mr. Chen, but thank you as always for your work on these projects. Seeing the dollar value of all these grants that BOE is able to win competitively is really impressive, and these dollars are going to be even more important, during COVID and after COVID. So I know you have a lot of really complicated projects as well, and thank you for your work, and I'm glad that you're having a good day at the beach there.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner Closer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Vice President, President Pro Tem Davis? see. President Pro Tem Davis?
No comment for me.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Villegas?
I have no questions and no comments. I appreciate Mr. Chen's thorough report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, so thank you, Stephen. Please forgive my awkwardness, but I appreciate it. We appreciate both of y'all's presentations. Thank you all so much, and have great weekends, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anna, who's been waiting. Stephen, if you don't mind closing this out, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah, right. Let's see. Okay.
Stephen, up on the upper right-hand side of your screen, right in the middle, you should see a green button that says Stop Sharing.
Okay, hang on.
Up middle.
I'm trying to expand my thing. It's not.
Let me see if I can do it for you.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, upper right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Just don't hit the red button.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Hi.
Board President and Commissioners. My name is Ana Tabuena Ruddy. I'm with Streets LA's Advanced Planning and Grant Management Group. I'm here to report that Streets LA currently has 46 grant-funded projects. 11 are in pre-design, 18 in design, 4 undergoing Caltrans approvals, 1 in bid and award, and 12 in active construction. Beyond that, we also have several grant applications in the works. We've recently been awarded a 3 Measure M active transportation grant projects under Cycle 1. It's for the LAX Aviation First Last Mile, the Sepulveda Station Orange Line First Last Mile, and the Western Slauson First Last Mile. And we submitted 4 ATP applications back in September for a total of $126.2 million of grant applications. And we also currently have a Measure W Safe Clean Water Program grant application that is up in front of the scoring committee for deliberation on December 21st, and that's for $11.7 million. Other than that, we also have an urban greening grant application for $713,000 that is in step 2 of 3 of the evaluation process. We have a planning grant due in a couple hours for a planning grant for Warner Center area. And we recently received the fully executed grant contract and notice to proceed for the 2028 Olympic Legacy Street Improvement Plans. And that's what we have for today.
Thank you, Anna. Any questions, colleagues? Commissioner Villegas?
I have none. You caught me mid-yawn.
Oh, I'm
sorry. No questions. Thank you for your report, Anna. Very thorough.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Anna. President Pro Tem Davis?
No questions for me.
All right. Commissioner Colosa?
No questions for me either. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And then Vice President Garcia?
No questions either. And then hold on, one question. What time is this grant due that you've been waiting so patiently?
It's due at 5.
Bye.
Go.
Yeah, you should have told us. We would have got you up in the front.
Sorry about that. All right. Thank you, Anna, very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
All right. Mr. Bazzi, are you also presenting or no?
I am not president now. Thank you.
Get you hanging out with us. I love that. Okay, great. All right. With that, I think we will. That covers all of our grant fund. There's no reports from BCA or BSL. Our final item is a report from our Office of Forest Management status, or Office of Forest Management, our urban forest maven, Rachel Malrich. Hi, Ms. Malrich.
Hello, and thanks for sticking around till the end, everyone. I'll go ahead and share my screen if you're ready for me to begin, President Good.
Yes, please.
Right. All right, can you see that okay? Just the presentation? Great. Well, thank you, President Good, and good afternoon, or almost good evening, Commissioners. I'm very excited to share an update on the work I've been doing. I'll start with a brief background of the role, as this is my first oral report to you all. I know we talked originally about my coming at regular intervals, but you know, the pandemic is here, and so I'm really excited to share with you now a bit of the background, what I've been up to, and what we're looking forward to in the future. So to roll way back, actually, we'll start with, obviously, you all are very aware that trees offer us many benefits. The urban forest is a unique resource and a huge part of the city's infrastructure. It's our only infrastructure that appreciates over time and provides services across the realms of stormwater capture, air quality, improved pedestrian environment, as well as mental and physical health for our residents. It's a resource that exists on public and private property, and additionally, its management is not always well understood, all the nuances of urban forest management. So in the 1990s, there was an urban forestry task force that came back to the City Council with some recommendations for our urban forestry efforts, and one of those was identifying the need for the formation of our Community Forestry Advisory Committee, which was formed shortly thereafter, and the need for an urban forestry coordinator to coordinate the work on our urban forest across our multiple departments. Fast forward, I'll take us to 2018. Let me make sure this is moving forward so you all can see it. 2018, the U.S. Forest Service and CAL FIRE funded our nonprofit partner City Plants to do what we call the First Step Report, which was developing an urban forest management plan for the City of Los Angeles. This 10-month process used a large stakeholder group that spanned city departments, state and federal partners, nonprofit organizations, and community groups to do an initial needs assessment and evaluation for the city in preparation for us to do our first urban forest management plan. That report clearly outlined next steps, one of which was, again, the creation of this position for an urban forestry coordinator. In 2019, the mayor released his Green New Deal, which included, again, the need to develop that urban forest management plan, as well as some other very specific targets for our urban forest. And I always love to reference this one page in the document for our constituents. It's very detailed and very laser focused on some of the areas where we need to do some real work early on. And so the UFMP, as we call it, the Urban Forest Management Plan, is an opportunity not only to lay out the vision for our urban forest and a roadmap of how we're going to achieve that vision, but I also see it as an opportunity to address policies and practices that are either currently not functioning as well as we would like, need to be updated due to changes in best practices, or have not been adequately or clearly documented. There's some things that our departments are doing really well, but the public doesn't always understand what best practices they're following. And so the UFMP, I think, is going to be a great place for us to document some of those best practices. And so 2019, in August, I was hired onto this role, and I have to say thank you. If I could take my entire time presenting to you guys to just say thank you to folks within the board offices, the city departments, and all the different groups that welcomed me and have helped to train me on some of the city processes that were new to me, and I'm still learning. And a huge thank you to Adele Hodge-Calillo, our general manager of Streets LA, Greg Spotson, and the whole team at Streets LA across their multiple divisions, as they've been really supportive and huge partners in my success in this first year plus. So again, the need for this role partly exists because we have so many different of our departments and agencies that touch trees, and we want to have a really coordinated approach to how we manage the urban forest to make sure that our decisions maximize the benefits we're receiving from that urban forest while minimizing the risks associated with trees. And I'll just share that my priorities or my guiding principles are that we be rooted in science, both in current science and in continuing to explore how we can continue to understand the best ways to approach urban forestry in Los Angeles. How can we utilize partnerships? What are the city's core competencies, and where do we want to draw in others that can help us do things better? And how can we better encourage understanding and investment in what I'm referring to as the 4 pillars of urban forest management? Those are engagement with our communities, as the people are part of the reason that the urban forest is so dynamic, in tree planting, tree preservation, and tree maintenance. And so again, a lot of people are aware of tree planting, but maintaining and preserving that resource is also equally important, and we definitely see that. There's the enthusiasm around the 90,000 tree planting goal. There are the number of council files related to tree preservation, as well as the increase in staffing that we've seen over past budget cycles for Streets LA for tree maintenance. We know that we need to be investing in all 3 of those areas, plus community engagement, in order to have a healthy urban forest. And understanding what the best practices are, we kind of have different constituent groups in each of these areas. And so having all of them really understand the importance of the other roles and the ways that we're looking to do things with the best available science is really important to me. So again, maximizing those benefits that we receive from the urban forest and minimizing the risk to the public and public property. And so now I'm going to share just a little bit of the work we've been doing. I'm happy, I'll just preface it by saying I'm happy to come back and provide more detail on any of the projects to you, to get additional feedback from you at any time. But just a brief overview. In terms of engagement, we had our second annual tree summit in partnership with Streets LA this past spring. I've launched a Lunch and Learn series, which is happening twice a month to inform the public, give a brief glimpse of an urban forestry topic with an expert or myself, and doing some Q&A with our public using a Zoom platform. We have the Growing Vibrant LA Communities, which we had the second of that series today, this morning, the Spanish session. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas, for your participation in that. And that is really under the leadership of Streets LA and City Plans. I'm supporting them. They're listening to the kinds of themes that I want to hear the public communicate with, but they are doing the lion's share of facilitating that wonderful event. Additionally, I've been working with the Community Forestry Advisory Committee, our CFAC group, to hear more of their priorities and work with them on how they can help us better. And then I'm working on a strategy for our community engagement for that UFMP, that large planning document. We really need to have a really great strategy for that. That's something that will be upcoming in the new year. In terms of planting, you just got to hear a bunch of grant awards. I'll just say that when CAL FIRE announced their grant awards this past June, the LA area, between city agencies and our partners, brought in more than $5 million for urban forestry. 1.5 is for that urban forest management plan, a grant that I was able to secure, and the others are for tree planting. We have our tree inventory project that is being led by Streets LA, and the Rec and Parks element being led by them. We're working with our planting partners to make sure that we're using that inventory data for this planting season. What are their key and critical projects that we can have be informed by the vacancy information in the tree inventory? Because Davie Resource Group isn't just gathering information on our street trees, they're also gathering information on vacant sites. And so we're working with our partners to make sure that they're using that data that we have available for their planting this planting season as appropriate. Additionally, you may have heard we've had a partnership with Google through the Mayor's Office that has been a long time coming, that launched just last month, an Environmental Insights Explorer, to help us have some really great data for prioritizing tree planting and being able to track the progress and whether or not we're having the impact we want with policies and programs over time as we try to work towards the Mayor's goal of increasing tree canopy in areas of greatest need by 2028. And last but not least, on the planting side, I'm working closely with a consultant team on updating our master street tree list. And I will say that in the new year, we're looking to do some working groups with some of our key stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders, to talk to them about the process that we've been taking for that street tree list and get their feedback as we get close to wrapping that initial, that list up. Preservation, this particularly, I wanted to make sure I took some time to talk with you all as you are on the front lines of our protected tree ordinance and some of the structural issues that we experience with that ordinance. They're not only in the Mayor's Green New Deal that details the need to look at our tree preservation policy, we also have 3 council files that have brought together cross-departmental team from Department of Building and Safety, Streets LA, myself, Department of City Planning, to discuss our tree preservation, our current protected tree ordinance, and other mechanisms we can look at to preserve trees on, particularly on private property within the city of Los Angeles, as 90% of our tree canopy is on private property. So that began in late August, that cross-departmental working group, and it has continued to the present. I've done some listening sessions with some key stakeholders in October and November to get some of that feedback from the folks that you hear from a lot of the time. You would recognize a lot of the names of the folks that I got to listen to and hear from and get some feedback. And I'll say that one thing that was really encouraging to me is that the problems that we need to address, the themes that we need to address across the internal working group and those listening sessions were consistent. We know where the issues are, and we know where we want to make improvements, and so that's encouraging. Additionally, we have our consultant that is helping with the street tree list, also helping us by doing a comparative cities analysis. We're looking at 4 California cities and kind of comparing some of their enforcement and mitigation mechanisms and the effectiveness of their tree protection programs, so we can learn from them and from any wins or mistakes that they have made through the process of implementing theirs. And last but not least we're going to be looking at working groups again. We've gotten to a point where we've got some really good information on some of our next steps and want to start getting additional feedback from a larger audience on what we should be approaching when it comes to tree protection and preservation. I'll just share that some of the early themes are how to identify tree resources on site early in the process so that we can make plans that allow us to keep as many healthy trees as appropriate. How do we have a clear methodology of how we value those tree resources? What is the best mechanism for review in the different scenarios where trees may be impacted on projects? And what's a clear interpretation of reasonable development that can guide our work, and what mitigation strategies do we want to have? I know that sometimes you all hear complaints of different mitigation approaches. We want one that people feel good about when we have to use it, and ones that really look at the resource that is being removed, but in a way that's really reasonable on all sides, so that we can feel good at the end of the day. So that's just my note on tree preservation. To wrap it up, just I'll start actually with the midterm goal for me within the Office of Forest Management. You've gotten now a glimpse of some of the work I've been doing over the past year and kind of my current workload. My midterm goal is the completion of that urban forest management plan. That's in the next couple years, using the funds from CAL FIRE and the support from our departments, finishing that plan. Long term, I'll be looking at implementation and how do we adapt as we see how effective that plan is, or what the science, as we continue to look at things, what needs to be improved upon. And then in the short term, again, I've shared the street tree list, our tree preservation strategy. We've got a number of pilots and research projects in the works that I'm not going to detail at this point, and tree canopy equity being one of those. We've got a lot of work on those areas. In terms of successes, again, we were able to secure the funding for the UFMP. We have a visiting scholar on equity that is doing really amazing work through funding that Tree People secured through Accelerating Climate Resilience, and is going through the LA Urban Center for Natural Resource Sustainability, being managed by City Plants. Let me name all the partners in one sentence, but it's a really robust project that's helping us look at how we get more canopy in our heavily built out communities in order to have equitable canopy across the city. Again, partnership with Google, and again, some of these really cool research projects that I'll be sharing more about in the near future. And the challenges for me moving forward is, of no surprise to anyone right now, is capacity, not just for myself, but also as we look forward. We know that in 2008, there was a huge hit to our urban forestry division, and we've had ripple effects from that over the past decade. And so many of our departments have been great partners to me and offered their expertise in helping us make sure that I don't have to know everything. I can rely on their expertise in their corner of the city work to make sure we have a really great plan. And as those capacities are challenged through our current circumstances, I am a little nervous. Right now, everyone is continuing to participate, but I know that we are all going to be under different constraints there. And we had hoped, I was a one-person shop for the first year, and we'd hoped that in the second year that we'd have some additional support to be able to accelerate the work, and that just isn't the case. But that that's fine. We'll just go as fast as I can. And huge thank you to all the partners and the departments that have been supporting me, and to all of you for lending a listening ear and offering support advice over my first year plus here with the board. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Rachel, very much. Colleagues, do we have questions and comments? I'll start with Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Rachel, nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Miss you. Rachel, quick question. And I don't know if you're the one that would answer this, but the working groups that you talked about that will get restarted in January, is that the CFAC, or CFAC has already been meeting?
So CFAC meets once a month on the first Thursday of the month. They meet on a regular basis, and tree protection is definitely one of the issues that they weigh in quite frequently. When we do the working groups that we're intending to start January-ish, I will be asking them to have representatives attend, or potentially having a session that is just focused on their group. I'm talking with Shelley Billick, their chair, on the best way to approach getting their feedback, both within these kind of context of maybe a larger stakeholder group, and then ones that would be, governed by the Brown Act and in one of their public meetings, because it is an issue so important to their membership.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Colosa.
Thank you, President Good. Ms. Malarich, all I can say is wow. I can't believe that's all you did in the year that you've been here. I think you could have done at least a little bit more. You're slacking on us. But no, I think you've proven why we needed a position like this. You really took all the pieces where urban forestry and this kind of tree policy work was happening, because it was living in a lot of different places, some in public works, some in other departments and agencies, and you were able to wrap your hands around it, to coordinate, to make processes more efficient. And I know you're still working on a lot of it, but the work that you've done in the short amount of time that you've been in public works is really impressive. And one thing I definitely wanted to know was that a lot of what you presented actually wasn't new information, because so much of it unfolded before us and unfolded before the public. So we got to see and hear about your work even before your oral report today. We see how often you are out in the public. We see all your information and lunch and learn sessions to really inform the public and arm them with information that's really vital to them, because you mentioned it in your presentation. I actually would love to get a copy, by the way. It's a really incredible presentation, is that you talked about equity, right? And that's really what urban forestry is, and what the work you're doing is about bringing equity into these neighborhoods. And for some kids who grow up now, they may not see any trees in their neighborhood, and that's really what you're bringing to the table. And lastly, I will also just say that Streets LA, Commissioner Villegas, and all the advocates have done a really amazing job about partnering with you. And, I really want to thank them for their leadership and holding down the fort before you got here. They've done a tremendous job. So Mr. Haj Khalil and his team, thank you. And just an incredible job. We're really proud to have you on our team.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that. And I will just note that in the future, if there is feedback on the topics that you think the public could benefit from in those lunch and learn sessions, I'm more than happy to hear suggestions from you all in ways to support, educating the public for when they participate in your meetings. I think it's really important.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes, thank you so much, President Good. Rachel, I want to thank you, too, for a dynamic report and presentation. And certainly, I like some of the highlights of work that you have been able to achieve in this year and a half. I've definitely been very fond of the fact that you have focused in on canopy equity, and I think I've had some very brief discussions with you about the underrepresentation of canopy in some of our most challenging areas in the city. Additionally, I appreciate the effort towards street lists. I don't know if we're going to document those in a way that we know where every tree is in this city. As I understand it, we have the largest canopy in the country in Los Angeles. I don't know if that's still true or not, but that's what I was told earlier. Additionally, I've noted that you have a management plan that will help us to be more efficient and effective in managing our blueprint in terms of the canopy, certainly across district departments of the city. We have over 40 departments in the city, many of whom have some interaction to some degree with canopy and trees. And your effort, your role, your leadership helps to bring all of the efforts together for us to achieve that goal. This whole issue around developing a better relationship with corporations, the mayor's office taking the leadership with Google, seems to me to be an area where, in fact, we could probably, in the future, attract even more corporations to assist in providing resources to help better manage our canopy. And I'm excited about what has already been done with Google. And I anticipate that there are other like corporations as big as we are in Los Angeles who will do something similar to the same that they have done. The Lunch and Learn sessions, which is a tool to help those of us in the community to know more about our urban forestry, to appreciate it, is commendable that you have implemented this particular program. And so my question to you in this year and a half that you have been providing leadership for the city's canopy, what do you consider to be the most important accomplishment that we have achieved thus far? And finally, what do you feel our biggest challenge is? And I know that with a dynamic report and with such a diverse and large canopy and challenge as we have, there are many priorities. But I would like to have an intrinsic perspective from you as leader. What do you see our biggest accomplishment having been in this year and a half that you have been here? And again, finally, what do you feel our biggest challenge is currently since you have been here?
Yeah, I think for accomplishment, honestly, as someone who's like deep in this work, I always am aware of how much more we have to do. But honestly, it's the teams that have been built, the different efforts, whether it be, again, the Equity Visiting Scholar, the team that's working on that, the team that's helped develop the Growing Vibrant Communities series, or even, again, the working groups looking at our protected tree ordinance. It's the gathering of those individuals and their willingness to really engage with the topic of urban forestry and lend that expertise that has been just so wonderful for me to get to participate in. I joke that I'm getting to play with the experts. I just getting to hear from them, having them push me and challenge some of the assumptions I might have had, or just provide that real direct guidance. This is probably not the best avenue. Let's try this instead. It's those teams, internal and external, that I think, again, is why we attracted so much funding. There's a reason that funding continues to come to this region for urban forestry, and it's because of our collaboration. It's one of our challenges, being 500 square miles, such a large city with such a large population, but it also is our greatest strength, I think. In terms of our greatest challenge, it is that scope. I still... And I was sharing this with someone earlier. When we look at tree preservation, we have so many different distinct neighborhoods, and making sure that their values are heard and reflected in our general planning document, that centralized document, that nuance between providing really good urban forestry best practices information with giving that people that time to be heard and engaged and give that feedback and have that included, and maybe having neighborhood level scale as well, is something that I think is really important. And particularly, that's what we hear from our communities. Well, And that's part of my previous work. You know, I would find that my organizer that worked in the Valley and the one that worked in South LA had different experiences when it came to hearing community feedback about what types of trees they wanted to see, what they wanted that tree to be doing for that neighborhood, or concerns that they had were different. And I think pandemic kind of making that better and worse, and my being one person making that better and worse, you know, I really want to hear from the people and make sure that they are educated as to what this resource can do for their neighborhoods, and that takes time, as well as hear what they need, and that scope is sometimes daunting. So, my not so brief answer to your questions.
Well, thank you so much for that response, and again, appreciate your report, and we look forward to, as challenging as these times are, us continuing to work together to make some strides and some accomplishments in the months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Normally, I would go ahead and move to Commissioner Villegas. My apologies, colleagues and folks on. I'm going to actually have to step away. Vice President Garcia will helm the meeting moving forward, and including an adjournment that is very, very important. Before I do, I just also want to say, Ms. Mellerich, that was a great report. Thank you. You're doing tremendous work. Deeply appreciative. You know, you've heard me say it a million times. Trees are superheroes. I am seduced by trees it's beyond words. And I am so excited about your work. And we want to be incredibly supportive. Thinking about your presentation, the point near the end where you essentially pointed to the challenge of capacity is one that is obviously a citywide issue, but it's also one that we will have a keen antenna up for on this board to help make sure that, to the degree possible, in a world of existential crises where we can make very little promises, we will certainly still work hard to help address that with you, and know that we are there in spirit and in fact. So we'll keep working toward those ends. I also appreciate you including me in a number of different meetings to sort of keep me up to speed on things. And I will tell you that first, I think it was the first slide on your deck with that super tree. My daughter's going to love that. So will you please send the presentation over? Thank you for the report. Look forward to the next one. Look forward to talking to you soon. I'm going to hand it over to Commissioner Villegas, who I know is going to have some things to say on this topic. And then Vice President Garcia will finish us off. I will just say really quickly, and I apologize for being self-indulgent here, whoever is on here for the adjourning motion from sanitation or from Mr. Gardner's family, and I'm not sure if anyone is here, my sincerest condolences and concern and love go out to Mr. Gardner's family, and Vice President Garcia will be sharing words towards those ends. So thank you, colleagues. I apologize for my abrupt departure. I need to jump off. You all have great weekends, okay? And thank you, Rachel, very much.
Okay, well, thank you, President Good. I'm sure he has now logged off. And I think we were just finishing up with Commissioner Villegas. Any questions, comments?
I won't belabor this. I realize that it's getting a little late, but I just wanted to echo the sentiment of my colleagues. You know, just the incredible work that Rachel has done over the last year, and putting the city in alignment with the mayor's Green New Deal. It's been, really incredible just to seeing a lot of different efforts, going by to be able to see this, come to fruition, and just educating the public on, the work that we're doing. So I really appreciate it. I wrote so many notes here, but Rachel, you and I can speak offline just on that. and just the tremendous work that you've been doing. So I won't say anymore. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Villegas. Any last comments, Rachel, to close up your presentation?
I just have to say thank you for the support, and I look forward to getting additional feedback and guidance from you all moving forward. And as to the capacity, again, it's everybody's issue, and I shared with President Good previously. I worked nonprofit. I'm very patient. It just, as long as you all are patient with me with the amount that one person can accomplish. So thank you.
I am gonna just state something just for the record. In today's board meeting, we did, approve the construction for the Civil, Human Rights, and Equity Department. I just want to highlight that because a lot of the information that's coming before us from, Davey, our consultants that is doing the tree inventory, to the extent that we can share this type of information, where services and revenue were poured out in the past, and then where the gaps are now, should be shared with this new department that the city's, just launching off. Obviously, it's, in the middle of a pandemic, but the leadership has prioritized, this new department for the creation in the midst of, the deficits that we're seeing. And I really want to highlight that as something that we should be sharing, a lot of this information, with this office, because, when we're making decisions about money speaks. And I think that that also creates the narrative of quality of health and quality of life for many disparaged communities. That'll be all.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas, for your comments. And with that, we wrap up our oral reports, right, Dr. Campos?
That is correct, Vice President Garcia.
Okay, do we have anything else that we need to take care of before we move into our adjournment?
Vice President Garcia, the desk is clear.
Got it, thank you. So with that, I'll start on our adjournment today. This comes from the Bureau of Sanitation. It's with very heart, we always do these adjournments on behalf and hopefully, the families listening on behalf of all of us here at the Board of Public Works, we send our condolences. And so with that, I'll start with Littleton Gardner. The fourth was born on July 1st, 1964 in Los Angeles, California, to his parents, Littleton Gardner III and Laura Gardner. LT, as he was affectionately known, was the fifth of 8 children. LT attended Manual Arts High School, where he played football his freshman year and sophomore years. He moved on to his real passion of graphic arts in his last years of high school. LT met his wife, Annette. Hold on. LT met his wife, Annette, at a mutual friends summer party in 1980. During their discussion, they realized that they were actually in the same 3rd grade class. In April of 1985, the two were married. LT joined the United States Marine Corps and proudly served 4 years. He then entered the construction field. And in 1990, LT joined LA Sanitation as a refuse collection truck operator in the West Los Angeles district. The city created the Ambassador Program in early 2000, and LT was in the first group. He worked for years educating the residents of Los Angeles in the proper use of LA Sands bins and services. He attended many events and reached many Angelinos. LT promoted to be supervisor of the Ambassador Program in 2018, where he ended his career. LT was passionate about cooking and became a pit master, which led to his catering business, TNT Smokehouse. He coached high school football for 10 years, where he mentored many young athletes. LT had 3 children, Victoria, who passed at 7 years of age, Celeste, and Littleton the fifth, and has a host of adopted sons and daughters. He was a die-hard Raiders fan and attended many games with his mother-in-law, Celeste, until the Raiders moved from Los Angeles. He would joke with people in a way that left them wondering if he was serious or not. LT was an exceptional member of our LA Sanitation family, and our thoughts and prayers are with his wife and our very own Annette during this difficult times. And with that, we adjourn today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our management meeting has been canceled for today. So commissioners, thank you. Have a good rest of the weekend, and we will see each other once again next following Tuesday.